let's just start talking and just start recording.
Yep.
Okay.
We're rolling.
Beth, Holmes, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Chase?
I'm doing good. So, I guess, barring any unforeseen circumstances, you will be our next mayor of Spruce Pine, and it's a pleasure to have you here. How do you feel about running unopposed?
Well, it's the best way to run for office. Yeah, I'm taking it as a sign of confidence. Still would love people to come out and vote and show support, but I'm hoping that it means people trust me.
Yeah. And that's an important thing, honestly. I think when there is a largely unopposed election, which there is quite often here, I think it's important to still get out and vote because there's other things on the ballot other than just you guys, right? Or is this just
this is it? Yeah,
it's
just town
council. So this
council.
is just a town election. I didn't know that. I thought there was
We're
other things.
all unopposed again, which is good. Hopefully sign of confidence.
Yeah,
but we
100%.
want to know everybody's behind us and
and I hope I can get Tessa and Larry in here before the election. I might try to reach out to them, maybe do something on Sunday with them just right before. So, but so, you know, me and you sat on that. We're currently rewriting all the town's zoning ordinances. So I'm on the zoning board, so we get to be in those meetings. And quite frankly, I'm pretty excited about the direction of the town, what's happened organically, largely, I think, since the storm. And, you know, even before, you could kind of feel the building. Do you feel the momentum?
Absolutely. And I think I kind of knew it already that the storm was an opportunity or could be an opportunity. You know, I don't wish it to happen. You know, I hate that's the way it's come about, but it's happened and we can take that momentum and turn it all into something good. And, you know, I think I had a moment where I was like, what's going to happen to Spruce Pine now? There was so much damage. And it just was like, I have to do something. And we all have to harness that momentum and see good things come. And it's, you know, any hesitation to change, I do think that the storm's kind of broken that down and made people open. And you know, we realized just how fleeting things are and how in just a split second things can change. And so it's time to make Spruce Pine what we want it to be. You
know, you're right about that. Me and Josh have talked extensively on here with people just about how, ironically, I think the storm it's had a crazy silver lining to it. And like you said, I mean, I don't wish it had happened, but you made a good point. I think it has torn down a lot of the barriers to change. And I think there were so many people, I hate to say this, and I'm not saying this to brag, but I had a very short period of time after the storm. I mean, very short, probably like a couple days, where I thought, this may not be good, like long term.
Yeah.
This might really crush us.
Absolutely.
And that very quickly for me changed to, you know what? I think this might have its silver linings. You know, it's like that term, and I've said it ad nauseum now, but the squeaky wheel gets the grease. You know, and I think in a lot of ways we kind of already were a little bit of a squeaky wheel in terms of like infrastructure, in terms of just support that we needed to get things done, that I think a lot of other small towns are also in that boat. But Spruce Pine in particular, just being as rural and as small as we are, I think that the flow of resources that have already come and hopefully and prayerfully will come from places like FEMA and stuff can be a real boon for us. I really do think that. And I thought that very quickly after that storm, and I don't know why. It got to the point for me where when people would come to me and when people would make, oh man, this town's never going to come back. It's never. I got to the point where I wanted to slap people in the face. I'm like, look at all. Not only look around you and see the people that have united and come together to push for the town, but look at what's coming. I mean, even farther down the road than that, as we started to kind of see the rebuild sort of happening, it's like, look around. We got a little visitor.
A little spider. He's good. He's good.
But I really think, and I'm so glad to hear that you share that belief.
Well, I definitely had that same moment. It was so overwhelming right after the storm. I'd seen people that were telling me about, like the day after the storm, telling me about the damage to the wastewater treatment plant and telling me this is the kind of thing that happened during Katrina and it took years.
Right.
And so, with in that moment with so much going on and just the emotional toll of what we'd just been through, it was hard to see the other side of it. And so I think a lot of us had that moment of like, this is the end of Spruce Pine, like pack it up and go. And then came the moment of like, well, if this ship's going down, it's not going to go down because I didn't try.
Yeah.
And so there was a moment of like, I'm going to fight and do everything I can to help because that's what everyone else was doing, because other people were making that decision. And that's the, like, overcoming that attitude of like, nothing good ever happens here, or this is the end. Like it can change if we all decide we want it to.
100%.
So
would you say that's is that where your motivation to run sort of started right then, or was it before that?
To run for mayor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wanted to be, I was...
Because wait a minute, you came on the council in...
October of last year, right after the storm.
Right after the storm. I couldn't remember if it was right before or right after. I knew it was right around then.
There was the vacancy, and I'd considered it, and then the storm happened, and I just...
wanted to put your
the way
hat in the
was
ring.
made clear.
Yeah,
This is what I needed to do. I needed to do what I could to help, and that seemed the best place for me to be. And then I don't like to do anything that I don't know what's going on and fully understand, and I just kept getting into things more and more. I wanted to be useful, so I wanted to know what was going on, and the more I got into it, it just one thing led to another, and it was just like, this is what I need to do. Run.
Was there, when
for
you
mayor.
got on the council, did you kind of know that you might want to run for mayor at some point, or did that cross your mind? Or
I did not immediately determine I was going to do that. No, I wanted to really get up to speed and feel like I could be a meaningful council member, and then, like I said, there was so much going on with. Weekly meetings with the contractors working on all the water issues, weekly meetings with FEMA, and then just choosing a new town manager. There were big things happening, and the more I got involved, the more the more I knew, and the more I knew I wanted to keep being involved, and then, like I said, just naturally led to, okay, I'm gonna run for mayor.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, for people that don't know, you've been a real estate attorney for a long time. Are you specifically a real estate attorney?
I say that I am, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, so I started...
You've kind of done some family law and stuff like that,
I
too.
have done a lot of different civil things. My husband, Michael, had a criminal practice for over 10 years. And I sort of covered everything on the civil side because, of course, I started practicing law, and then a couple years in, the real estate market crashed. So I've done a little bit of everything. I've done a lot of business contract drafting, estate administration, estate drafting, but I've been primarily focused, my husband and I both, on real estate for the last 10, 15 years.
Hey,
but
get it while the getting's hot, right? It's been really hot lately. What do you think? Do you think being an attorney and having that background gives you kind of a unique perspective in terms of things to do, like matters of business for the town?
I do, in a lot of ways. I represented the school board for about 6 years, and learned a great deal then about just what it's like to represent a government agency, government board, some of the rules there, know the ins and outs. I'm pretty familiar with Robert's Rules of Order from college days and student government and beyond, but it's just sort of always been an interest working in government to some degree. And then I think just the practice of law naturally leads itself, even if you don't. The research side of things, and I want to know why why we can't do what we want to do, or how can we do what we want to do within the law, and being able to really research and feel good about things. And then just the way the practice of law is, where you're people are coming to you and they bring a problem to you, and sometimes they don't tell you everything, and it's your job to sort of pull out, like, give me more details so we can come up with a better solution, or that I know I'm doing the right thing for you. And that's kind of, I've done that so long now that it's just part of my personality, like to dig in and get all the details before we do anything.
Yeah, law, like an attorney at law, seems to be one of those careers that it like sort of shapes you in a lot of ways, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's the point of law school. It's not really to teach you the law, because they don't specifically teach North Carolina law in law school, but they teach you how to analyze, and it does. It totally changes the way that you think.
Right. I know that there's a few things that come to mind when it comes to the town, like in terms of the laws. That I do think there's some laws in particular around eminent domain and things like that and annexation. That one really hits for me. Like, I've kind of long held the belief that the town of Spruce Pine needs to expand.
That is something that we've discussed already. There's going to be annexation or anticipated annexation along the Grassy Creek corridor as development happens there. And sort of our thought at this point is, if you want both water and sewer from the town, then you're going to annex.
You have to be annexed.
Yeah.
I never kind of understood the whole thing. I understand providing sewer and water at outside rates to people if they're not in the town. But is there, and you're the perfect person to ask this.
No.
So is it really a thing that you can't annex if it's not in already adjoining town property?
There is a law that just sets up how much we can annex that's not contiguous. So,
okay.
As long as, and right now that's not really an issue, but as long as I think it's 10% non-contiguous. If what is outside non-contiguous but is annexed is less than 10%, it's okay. So we just can't start sprouting up little offshoots that aren't touching.
Gotcha.
And so it's obviously easier if it's contiguous.
Right.
But so far we're well under that little threshold.
Right. Well, what I've always said is okay, do you say you're from Grassy Creek or do you say you're from Spruce Pine? If you live in Grassy Creek, everybody says, hey, I'm from Spruce Pine.
Well, sure. I grew up in Swiss Pine Lake,
right,
and Spruce Pine's my hometown.
Right.
And that's one of the things I've thought a lot about running for office, because it just, social media forces you to sort of think about it anyway. But Spruce Pine, what happens inside Spruce Pine is bigger than what us 2,300 residents, it's beyond that. There's more people that care about what happens in here. It has an influence on the whole county.
Right.
And
I'm sure it's that way in basically every other town, any major town inside of a county.
Sure.
But I feel like the community of Spruce Pine is a hell of a lot bigger than its borders.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make sense to me, things out there at Grassy Creek where one shopping center's in and the other one's out, and then, I know from being a general contractor, how many places, how many neighborhoods, HOA neighborhoods, Swiss Pine comes to mind. And I know this gets people going. I know people don't want, but they've all got water problems. Swiss Pines had continuing water problems, even all the way out to, Little Switzerland, Swiss Village. They've got major water problems and have had for a long time. So it makes me think, I'm not saying we should go all the way to Little Switzerland with it, but what I'm saying is I think there is a larger contingent of people, just exactly like what you said, that what happens in Spruce Pine affects all of those people, and they all bitch and complain about it. A lot of them do. and they don't even live in the town. And it just seems to me like that if people, I think that's if you were to do some sort of kind of, mass annexation, I don't want to, that's probably sounds like a bigger thing that I'm talking about, but
Sure.
if you were to do a large annexation of a particular place, like I think what's happening in the town and the momentum that we've gained would help with that. I think there were a lot of people that wouldn't be opposed to that, and I've talked to a lot of them, and I think a lot of them, if we were able to provide, water, sewer, trash, things of that nature, I think that would be worth it to them.
Well, we'll keep that in mind. I mean, the water already, like we have a massive water system. I mean,
Yeah.
it goes, all the way to the high school. It goes all the way to the Avery County line. It goes nearly to the Parkway. And then, in the Yancey County direction, goes pretty far out 19E. So it's a huge system. That's not unusual. There are plenty of towns that have water systems that then provide water outside of their limits or to other towns even. But so, people have a vested interest whether they have a vote or not if they're getting town water.
Right.
And then just like you said, I mean, there's a larger community than just city limits that care about or feel that they are Spruce Pine.
Yeah.
And I recognize that and respect that. I want to take that into consideration.
Right. Yeah, it's funny how you almost have constituents that aren't voters. That's kind of strange.
Well, I mean, then you've got the downtown area where most of those business owners don't own or don't live inside city limits.
Right.
And
I was actually going to ask you about that.
yeah, they need a voice as well. I mean, that's part of the purpose of the Main Street organization. But, we've got to be mindful there as well of what we need to do to help the businesses.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's one thing I hear a lot is, and I mean, they have a point. I mean, unfortunately your residence is not here, but your business is, which oftentimes is, I mean, that's more, I'm sure to all of them, the business is almost more important than their own house.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
you pour your life and soul into that,
For sure.
And you being one of them, you're also a downtown business owner.
Well, I'm in downtown. Yeah. Yes. That's what I was going to say. Especially after COVID, we were still working in the office through all of COVID and we weren't going anywhere else.
Right.
So there was some point during the shutdown that I realized I spent more of my life in my office downtown Spruce Pine than I did at home or anywhere else.
Right.
So I feel very connected to downtown Spruce Pine. It's where I'm at most every day.
Yeah, me too. I mean, just being a part of the community now. And the thing is, there's reasons for people to be downtown now, and that's so good. And, you start looking around, like, I'll be 100% honest with you. Almost any building, there are a few exceptions, but just about any building that's currently vacant is owned by somebody outside of here.
Sure.
And that's, of course, a whole bag of worms that I won't bother getting you into. But, I think what you're inheriting here is a town that's growing. And I don't know that any mayor in Spruce Pine, for probably my entire life at least, can really say that. I think Spruce Pine probably for the first time in a long time is on the up and up. And that's exciting. I mean, that's got to be a exciting thing for you, like to take the wheel in something that's already driving itself,
Absolutely. And back to, downtown, along those same lines, like there are people investing in Spruce Pine, and so we have an obligation to come alongside them and make it better. And it makes it better for economic growth, and it makes it a better place for all of us to live. So, yeah, I'm excited and have a big obligation to keep things going.
100%. Just sticking with that, let's talk about downtown, like in particular, because, and I'll just tell you where my whole feelings lie in what kind of the future of downtown in particular is I think we have proven to ourselves that we can be a festival and concert town.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think if you don't think that, then I mean the success of, things like the Alien Fest, which, I think everybody has. I have thoughts on all of them, but it's the Alien Fest a little bit in particular. But, the Hellbender Festival, the Blacksmithing Festival, it seems like there's a festival going on every day downtown. They're literally almost every weekend there's some sort of event going on, either downtown itself or up here at the Whitson building or something like that. I mean,
Sure.
That's exciting. I mean, I think we've proven to. How can we, in your view, how do we harbor that and make it even better than what it's already been?
Well, I think being mindful of the impact that those festivals have on local businesses is important. Like continuing to find better ways to set them up for traffic flow, to keep people visiting and going into the businesses that are there. That's important. And, just learning how to attract great vendors who want to come in. And, that's something I think we're getting better at.
Yeah.
I certainly can't take credit for any of that, but the festival.
And that's a great thing, though.
Amazing.
It's not the town is definitely being supportive of all of it, for sure, in terms of the, police department, the town itself, the parks and recreation people and all that stuff. And that's all great. But I mean, really, I think it's important to know that almost all of them are homegrown. I mean, we play in a band with the guy that started the Alien Fest and the Toe Jam, which I hope he decides to bring back. But, I mean, it's that's kind of remarkable that it's not some outside force that's making these things happen. These are completely homegrown festivals. The Hellbender Festival was awesome, I thought. I thought just the vibe of the whole thing was very, like, community, very, like, look at the great natural resource that we have in terms of where we live and how beautiful it is. I love things that cater to those types of things.
It hit a lot of notes. It was family friendly, had educational opportunities, and it was fun.
Yeah.
And unique.
So I know there's been, even before you got on the board, there was kind of the wheels in motion with the downtown sort of master plan and all of that type of thing. And I know I was downtown during one of those Third Thursdays where you kind of got to vote on the streetscape plan and all of that type of stuff. And then the park, of course, is a part of that. Riverside Park, which we unfortunately have to completely rebuild. Where are we at with all that? And when are we going to get a bridge back?
Well, streetscape plan should be presented very soon to the town. And I'm excited about a lot of those ideas. Yeah. And so next steps will be, to really figure out what can we, some of the suggestions are parking decks. Right. And then, widening streets, which would take parking out of some areas. So you can't do that till you can do the parking decks. So there's going to be a lot of decisions to make in terms of how that gets implemented and what steps can we go ahead and do. So, there's a lot to do there, but I'm excited about the ideas because I think, one, parking is a huge issue downtown. Just sort of cleaning that up will go a long way.
What are your thoughts on the parking thing? Where do you think we ought to take that? What's the most feasible route?
I think a parking deck is needed in, one of the two areas that it's been considered at a minimum, the Mitchell News Journal lot, or the theater lot. Yeah. And, there's some factors that weigh into which way that goes, but it makes sense that you'd have a deck that you could drive into from Locust Street and then a deck you could drive into from Oak Avenue. Yeah. So, well,
see, the one behind the Journal's kind of already set up for it, isn't it?
It is.
I don't know how much that was done so long ago. Have they said anything about whether that's able to still be used?
Structurally, I'm not sure we've got those answers, but I think it's certainly feasible. And one of the things that a deck there would alleviate is the awkward double light, because you could come out of that deck at the light at the old bank building and remove that other one.
Right.
There's so many various things that we could do there that are all being considered. But, thinking about, we've got our awkward, can't turn left when you get out of Locust on either end.
Yep.
Or can't turn right, rather, sorry. That's something to sort of consider, especially we've got all our trucks delivering food, and that's a big problem.
Yeah, and that's a hard issue because I saw the roundabout,
yeah,
which I think is a great idea.
It is,
but you would have to. I was thinking about that when we went home that night, and me and Laura were kind of talking about it. We were like, wow, a lot of these things are really exciting. But I thought about the trucks. I'm like,
how's that going to
You would
work?
have to make it fairly big.
Someone was talking about in that situation, you'd have to make it so you could cut through the roundabout. So truck would have that ability.
Have the right that right of way or whatever. Yeah.
Some quirks to the plan, but there's things we can do that would make it easier to get in and out. Sort of make it the main goal being to be more walkable, more accessible, to get to upper and lower, and frankly on Oak Avenue, just making it a little more pleasant experience to get out of your car and not worry your door's going to be taken off or
exactly
who's flying through.
Yeah, I like the there was one of them, and for people that don't know, and I'll kind of sort of run it down a little bit. There were three different sort of. Was it 3 or 4? Maybe there were 4.
I think the last go was 3
yes.
options.
And they were different configurations of kind of the same thing. There was some, and you were allowed to look at these things and sort of, kind of give your input on which I think is great. Community input is great. So all these people that say that nobody ever asks any questions or whatever, well, you're just not taking the opportunities to do them. And it was well publicized too, because I saw it a lot of places. But anyway, there were suggestions like right in front of the train depot to make a raised festival sort of street to support the kind of what they're already doing with the Third Thursdays, which I think is a great thing. I think those little kind of just night, evening things during the spring and the summer months are fantastic. I think that's awesome. So I can definitely see a need for that, and that would be cool. There were some that expanded the sidewalk, which I thought was really neat. There's so many different options, but what you're working with down there is sort of just within, you got to work within the parameters of what you already got.
Between the river and the mountain.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't see any other way that just doing parking decks seems like the most logical one to me, because you can open up some other parking. Even if you kept, say 75% of what you've already got, but eliminated some of them for things like expanded sidewalks. And because how cool would it be to be able to actually eat on the street,
Sure.
Down through there? It'd be really nice. And you could do, I think about, small towns that set up a little outside thing. It'll be the sidewalk sort of passes through, but they'll have like a little, outdoor area to the right or to the left, I think that would be really neat. And then there were some that, maybe this is my next question for you. So, there on each one of the plans there was some suggestion about going on the other side of the railroad tracks to do something at the river. What can we do, and why do you think it's been so tough to work with CSX in the past? And where are we with all that?
Well, I don't think that we're gonna get anywhere on the other side of the tracks.
Yeah.
And again, just being a lawyer and knowing what I know about big railroad, they are very concerned about liability. Right. And that is our major hurdle. Yeah. So that's sort of the issue. I mean, we met with representatives from CSX. I'm trying, maybe in January. I remember it was very cold. And that was, to start seeing what their feelings were on the depot, and also just to deal with some of at that point, I guess this was closer to March, we still needed a lot of cleanup work done where the railroad work had come into some of those parking spaces there.
Right.
So, but they were very open, and I think, as far as working with CSX, we've made more progress with them than has been made in many years. They've just been more willing.
I kind of wondered. I sort of wondered if the whole thing with the storm and them kind of using Spruce Pine as a hub, sort of,
sure, for
a lot of things. If that sort of engendered some goodwill between.
I hope so. I don't know. I mean, they have been very willing to meet with us. I've actually met with them twice, and then of course they took the town council on a train ride.
Yeah, how was that?
And several hundred others. It was great.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful day. Beautiful, executive train. It was see how the other half lives.
Yeah, that's right. They pulled out the big guns.
They did. It was very nice. Yeah. All I can say at this point is we are being told that the depot was moved off of its foundation.
Okay.
And so we're just trying to figure out where that means we can go.
Right.
So, but it's,
do you think they're willing to maybe, because they're no longer in there, are they?
No, it looks like they've put some kind of temporary, some sort of bathroom facility, because they have to. So
Right.
they've got to do something there, but I don't believe it's going to be in the depot.
Gotcha.
So hopefully we'll have worked something out with them very soon.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's exciting, even if it took some money to put it back together. I'm sure there's a lot of grants for, historic buildings like that, because, I don't know.
There's certainly a lot of interest, and I know that, the town manager has talked to a lot of different railroad enthusiasts and people interested, like myself, in, keeping the history. Just, the flood, there are things that happened with the flood that we just may not be able to come back the same.
Yeah.
But with that said, I think the bridge to me is key.
Yeah.
I thought about that at the Old Crow Medicine Show concert, how cool it would be to just walk right out and go across the bridge and be in downtown, with all the dining options there. And just, we really need that tie-in between the park, the new Three Peaks Enrichment Center, the Y, like all of that. So
where are we at with
iconic.
the park in general? Let me hit on the bridge first. I've taken a lot of hate over this damn bridge.
It's all gone away.
Yeah.
It was all for nothing.
Yeah, I told when we walked downtown for the first time after the flood, it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing I was talking about before, but if anybody's got a reason to be sentimental about the old bridge, it was me. I grew up in the hotel over there. Mom and Dad had an apartment, and this. So I was on that bridge every day growing up. So trust me, I'm plenty sentimental about the old bridge, and I was sad to see it go. But the idea of when I heard that there was not a whole lot of cost difference before the flood, between repairing the one and bringing it up to standard, or getting a new bridge, and the key difference being that one would be handicapped accessible, a new bridge, and one will never be handicapped accessible, the old bridge. I think it's just a no-brainer, like new bridge. So I put team new bridge and got destroyed by hundreds of people.
Well,
so people are very passionate about this bridge.
In the end, Chase, you have won. It is is a new bridge.
Team new bridge.
And there's no real alternative. I mean, we are required to build it back ADA compliant.
Right.
There's considerations with CSX where the clearance has to be, I think it was 23 feet. Now it's 27 feet. It's not significantly higher, but it's still we've got to meet that requirement as well. So there's no question that it's going to be totally new, ADA compliant, all one level. So it's going to have to come into a higher point on the other side.
Right.
But I think that's all feasible.
Yeah.
And
literally come out right in front of the Three Peaks Center.
It will. I think so.
And that's going to be awesome because, The other component that I heard that was being talked about for in the park was an amphitheater, like a bigger amphitheater than what we had, like something that could accommodate something like a big concert or whatever. Is that still kind of in the works too?
It's been mentioned. So far, we've just been trying to, we chose, well, I think we are finally decided on the company that's doing the engineering.
Okay.
And then the next step, and all of this is complicated because of FEMA. We have to meet their qualifications as well as choosing what we want. So
Right.
we've got to make sure we've got somebody that meets their qualifications and do it the way they want us to do it in terms of the process. And then we will finally get to the point where we're looking at plans or choices, and that's the moment we can get public input and
Right.
and really start
Gotcha.
seeing what's going to happen. So right now all that's just sort of up in the air.
And
but
we
we've-
already kind of had some funds set aside for the bridge project, right?
Yes, and I think, as far as I know, that's all still there.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is, and we'll need every penny of that.
Yeah.
But I think at the meeting on Monday, our FEMA consultant was explaining that was one of the issues, one of the hurdles with FEMA was trying to get. Does it need? We know it has to be ADA compliant, but they were telling us that they weren't going to fund it as ADA compliant because it wasn't before, and there was
Okay.
But so it was a misunderstanding on the FEMA representative's part what the rules were.
Right.
And that's what he was telling us in our meeting, is that they finally came back and said, "You're right. We have to do it ADA compliant. That's in the rules." And we'll give you $6 million. So that's the budget for it. And again, what we already have is going to be part of that.
Right.
$6 million.
And that was, I think, wasn't it right at $2 million?
I think
that we had?
1.8 somewhere in there.
Right. Gotcha. So that's a good chunk of change. I mean,
It
you can
is.
do something really cool with that,
Absolutely.
And to put back a park, I mean, I would imagine that would be plenty enough to get done what you needed to do.
Well, that's a different pot of money, a
Right.
different project.
Yeah.
But so Monday night we did go with, or authorize the manager to.
So wait a minute. So let me, just so I understand. So that additional $6 million
$6
plus
million
the two,
is the bridge.
that's just the bridge.
That is the bridge. That is the difference from wherever we were at a couple years ago, trying to start talking about redoing or rebuilding a bridge, to what it's going to cost.
Daggum.
Yeah. Yeah.
And is that that was obviously
FEMA
estimated and
FEMA approved. So it's been through all of those steps to get the right numbers.
dang. Well, we ought to get a pretty decent bridge for that. That's awesome. That's good news.
Yeah. And the company that we are negotiating with now to be the engineer has a great background in not just pedestrian bridges, but also like DOT level, drive a car across
Right.
it bridge. So
Awesome.
we're hoping this is going to be a good, solid bridge.
That's awesome.
I've seen
Great.
pictures of the old bridge before what we
Right.
lost, and it was, this rope bridge.
Yeah.
So we're not doing that. It's gonna
No
be
rope bridge, huh?
No, I mean, I would love a swinging bridge, but
Yeah, it would be awesome. But,
man,
man,
not
that's
ADA
exciting. So, if it's already approved, I mean, when are we looking at seeing some movement on that?
well approved. They've.
I know, I'm very well aware. Approved
Yeah.
and to getting the money is
I'm learning.
completely
I'm
different.
learning all of these things, and we are very fortunate to have an extremely knowledgeable FEMA consultant working with the town. I mean, he's done a phenomenal job sorting through things and doing things the best way that he can for the town. But if you've read anything about how this is working in Washington, it's just. Then the money, once we can get the money approved there, or get the project approved, then it still is steps and steps later.
Right. To actually getting money.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is, reimbursement. So we've got to, like I said, get the engineering done, decide on what we want to do, and then actually get the contractors in who are going to do the work. So
Nice.
we're still many steps away, but I'm excited that we've actually made some progress with their approval on the budget, that it will be ADA compliant because it has to be.
Yeah.
So pay for that, please, FEMA.
Yeah.
And then, I'm so ready to see plans.
Yeah.
That'll help me feel a lot better. I mean, I've had to really. Philip Heiss told me, Beth, nothing is fast in government.
Yeah.
So, get ready for that.
That would drive me crazy.
I'm trying. I mean, there's so much to do that I think things are faster than they normally are. Things are happening faster, but it's going to take a while.
Right.
And so, I just hope in a 2-year term as mayor, I see some of these things. I don't know that in 2 years that they will be finished, but we better be started on them.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Let's get it done. So the other parts of the park, is FEMA willing to help us with that too?
Yes. And that, I think it was 2 meetings ago, we went through those same steps where we have to, contract with an engineer as well. And we wanted to make sure that the bridge and the 2 parks, Riverside and River Bend, are both all engineered together.
So
that
there
it
is
fits
plans
well.
to do something with River Bend.
River Bend, yes.
Nice.
And we really want to tie into the fact that we're a river town and make it that there's river access for tubers, kayakers, whatever, canoe. And places to get out along the way, and it's a nice run through there. As long as your boat doesn't have a hole, right, Chase?
Exactly, exactly. And I don't know if I've told you this, but I'm of the belief that river is a better kayaking river now than it was before. It's, I think a lot of people, you look at like the South Toe River. There's so much sediment. I think about places. I guess that's Cane River actually over there, but something that probably everybody's seen, over there in Burnsville when you're just past Mountain Heritage, you come down and to the river there, and I mean it's just widened. I mean it's like 300 yards wide where it was just 30 yards wide. That is not indicative of what the Toe River looks like now. I've told people, the Toe River runs over primarily bedrock on the way down through there. So the general channel of the river really didn't change a whole lot. There are spots that are a little bit wider, but nothing like that's just completely bottomed out territory. So yeah, I saw where they put a river gauge finally back on the bridge. I always wondered because that's what kayakers monitor. They monitor those river. I mean, that's on every kayaking page that you go to because they want to know it's a good flow.
Sure.
Because every river.
You don't want to drag all the way down.
Yeah, you don't want to drag all the way down. And you have that in any river. Even the Catawba River does that in spots, So you want to make sure it's of decent flow, especially for whitewater kayaking, like, wreck kayaking and fishing kayaking, you probably, you're not trying to have the most exciting kayaking journey of your life.
You don't want to push yourself.
Right. Yeah. You still don't want to push yourself off the rocks. That's true. But anyway, that's my little aside on that. But that's exciting. So I kind of figured River Bend Park might be out of the.
I think we all thought there for a while, for sure. But I mean, plans are still to take advantage of it, and again, sort of tie the 2 parks together.
Nice.
And again, with the focus being river access.
Right.
So.
Awesome. So, how is the town financially after all of this? I mean, I know we've spent a lot of money. A lot of money of that will hopefully be reimbursed to us through FEMA. But just in general, is the town in good financial shape? We
are, absolutely.
Yeah.
The town had a great fund balance before the storm. I think it's recommended that we have like a 8%.
Right.
And we're well over that. And, we're in a different situation than, say, the county, who had to pay contractors to do the debris removal, where we certainly had to do the work on the water system, but we've seen some of that money already from FEMA, and those contracts are getting paid.
Awesome.
And so we are not we're not, like I said, in the same situation as the county where they've had to pay people and they're not seeing FEMA pay them back.
Yeah.
So, we're not there yet. I hope when we start these projects that FEMA, we're going to see the money from FEMA before we're in that situation where we're waiting too long. We've got a little more control over that than the county did in the emergency circumstances that
they just
in.
spent money because they absolutely had to.
They had to.
Yeah. I saw a few people belly aching over that, and I'm like, this is an extenuating circumstance. It's not like they just spent it frivolously. They had to spend it. That's just the way it is. And hopefully that all gets sorted out. Hot button issue.
Okay.
Sewer and water system.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Ingalls.
We'll get to the Ingalls.
Sewer and water, what you want to know?
Yeah. I mean, where are we with that, and when could we see? I mean, I know we're going to see some significant, project work go on, and a lot of it you sometimes don't even see at all. Just in terms of in particular, I guess what I'm talking about is downtown. When could we see some movement with some? Because I kind of hoped, and then sort of realized that this was probably a pipe dream, but that while we were in the cleanup phase, we could see some of that begin to be put back. But where are we with that?
I love all the puns that you just made and didn't even know it. The pipe dreams and sewage. So we're hoping to get a grant that will enable us to do some work in between Locust and Oak in a pretty big section there.
Like in the alleyway back there?
Yes. Sycamore Alley.
Yeah.
And I think that will help a lot sort of figure out what's going on. And
that's what's funny, I have a particular knowledge of that because that's my mom and dad live above their church down there. So I'm in that alley almost every day. And I'm working on some buildings at that alley. I know there's a lot of those buildings that are beginning as the buildings are rehabbed, the back part of that alley is rehabbed, and that's kind of been always like, well, nobody sees it, so this is where and it's always going to kind of be like that. But that's a cute little alley down through there.
Again, I was told that many years ago there actually were businesses that fronted out on that alley, and so
really?
It was people did walk through that alley. I hope it looked a lot different than it does now. And I walk through it almost every day as well.
Yeah, you do.
So it needs a lot of work to deal with stormwater drainage through there. One big dream would be not just for that area, but all of the downtown area to try to put power lines underground.
Yeah.
That would help the look of things a lot. There's a pole back there that, Duke doesn't even know what all is on the pole. I think it's a telephone company pole that they've got a transformer on it. Anyway, there's a lot to sort of sort out and clean up.
Yeah. And if you opened it up, like you said, you could do not only sewer, but power and everything back there and really kind of clean that up a lot. Right?
That's one of the issues. There is a gas line already that runs right through the middle of it. So there's a lot going on back there, and there's a lot that alone will tell us, sort of what all's going on down there.
So they have got their funds hopefully coming to do
We've
some work.
We've applied for a grant for that, and should know pretty soon if we're going to receive that.
Nice. Good deal.
See what we can do back there.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about angles.
So
everybody wants to know, including myself,
I don't know.
One of the main reasons I bought a house in the English Woods which is where I grew up in. I was not the craziest fan of going back to where I grew up in at the time. Now I think it was probably the best decision I could have made. But one of the main reasons is because the grocery store is right there. I had a bunch of kids. I go through food. And we called it, we were in our house, we were like, I'm going to the refrigerator, and that means you're going to Ingles.
Yeah.
I was in there every day. So I understand people's sentiment to it, but
sure.
Have we heard anything?
They have had their engineers in there. They've not given any more definitive answer than what we've been hearing all along. other than, I mean, they say they're still coming back. That's the last word we've gotten. I do want to say, like, Ingalls is a private business,
Right.
and there's a lot of talk that like local leaders are not doing something about Ingalls.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just important to note that we are a democracy with
Right.
free markets. And while we will do everything within our power, it is not something that the town of Spruce Pine can force.
Has control over.
Yeah, we cannot force them to come back. There was I think, a comment on Facebook. Why have we not forced Ingalls to come back?
That just, we've talked about that ad nauseum too. People don't understand. People just don't understand, Josh. People just don't understand. But we've talked about a lot, like, I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding on a lot of people's parts, or they just don't take the time to really think. Mm-hmm. It's just there, and they have a knee-jerk reaction, and they put whatever comment they want. But
sure.
I think also, over and above the town not being able to do anything about it, Ingalls, you have to understand, is not a multinational corporation. Mm-hmm. In their space, in that grocery store space, they are a regional grocery store chain. They are like a mom and pop business equivalent in that retail space. So, it's not Costco, it's not Walmart, it's not that just have multiple millions and millions of dollars to basically do whatever they want and build back as quick as they want and everything. They lost their distribution facility flooded. They had 4 stores flood, 3 stores completely, and 1 partially that was able to be opened. Can you imagine the product loss alone, not to mention damage to the buildings and everything else that they're looking at?
Sure.
I mean, when you start thinking about it, and I don't know, I'm sure they're just like everybody else. I don't know if they had flood insurance to cover all that stuff, and I'm sure they have some sort of insurance in place, maybe. But I would be curious. I think the only thing that I can really look at them and be like, you could do a better job at this, is just being communicative.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to say. I can't say that I'm not disappointed in the way that it's been handled,
Right.
like that they haven't. Like, where's the, we are sorry, Spruce Pine.
Right.
We're
That's
coming.
all you got to say.
We know they've been through a lot, but we've been through a lot. Can't we all just say we've all been through a lot?
Yeah, just be patient with us. Yeah.
Something.
Or just something to be like, even just a public statement, just something as simply as like, hey, we do plan to rebuild.
Sure.
But here's what we're facing. And as a business, and I don't know if some sort of admission of that would
I don't know if they're
be negative towards a potential buyer, maybe.
Sure. Or just stock prices and all of those considerations. I understand. It's private business,
right.
And I'm sure they're being
and they don't have any
careful.
obligation to say anything or do anything. It's,
But to be clear, this town of Spruce Pine has not told them that they can't,
Right.
does not own the parking lot behind them, fix the road, like all those things
Right.
that somehow we were the roadblock. That is
Right.
not true. And I can assure you, many people in the town, the managers over the last year, economic development, like everyone's been reaching out and bombarding them with the same
And the public.
as the public.
Yeah.
Please come back, and looking at other options if that's what it's going to have to
Right.
be.
And I kind of thought, after it happened, and I heard kind of what Ingalls had went through, I lived in Swannanoa for years. And there was always talk. The store in Black Mountain, the big store in Black Mountain, and the small store in Swannanoa are like their test stores. Mm. So there had been rumors, and everybody there are a ton of people work at Ingalls distribution facility. So you heard forever that, they're going to get bought out by Publix. So they're going to and then you get that kind of got real loud for a period of time, and then they went in and painted, much like the one down here was, the inside of the entrance to the store right inside. They painted it green, and then they put all gray floor tiles down, and which is exactly the way Publix is decorated. And we all thought, well, this is definitely going to happen. But after the storm, my first thought was, I wonder if they'll explore sell it to somebody that would have the money to fix it. So I kind of wonder if the reason they've not come out and said, hey, we're facing financial hardship here, is because they don't want that to look negative or to give somebody a negotiating, right. I'm just throwing stuff out. I have no reason to.
It's all speculation.
Yeah, it's all speculation. But that's frustrating that it has to all be speculation.
Sure, that we're all theorizing. I mean, I was just talking to someone today who's like, well, maybe there's like a reason, accounting wise with depreciation and just the loss that they took last year, that they needed to work on other stores first.
Yeah.
Anyway, again,
and who knows? I mean, maybe they're working with FEMA on. I don't know if FEMA has anything to do with any of that or not. I don't think it would, but who knows?
But
is there a possibility? Do you think? Do you see a potential way let's say, should Ingalls not come back, and I hope it does? Do you think there's any way to attract? Specifically what I'm kind of thinking is we're getting ready to do a pretty large infrastructure upgrade out Grassy Creek for the new the
Health
MCHP,
Center and housing.
Mountain Community Health Partnership. Is there any consideration of the town to maybe? I mean, and maybe it's just by virtue of the fact that it's already there, but if there were to be another large grocery store, somewhere out in Grassy Creek or something like that. I've heard people talk about, behind the pawn shop out there or something like that. And I know a lot of that's not town property, but should it be? I mean, would that line should be able to handle it, right? I mean,
yes. I mean, what's also in the works is different things to help improve the water out that Grassy Creek corridor. A new pump station right below my house actually is already in the works to be built that will increase the flow out through considerably.
There.
And that will make a huge difference to getting water there. And then I think it's about a mile stretch of line that was all in the works again pre-storm, but a stretch of line that will replace a mile stretch of line that will really help get the water flowing.
Well, I know one of the big considerations, for grocery store change is, you got to have the infrastructure there, the water and the sewer and stuff to handle it.
Well, it's already there. It's just like improving it.
Yeah.
It needs to be improved anyway.
Yeah.
But if there is going to be more growth there, we need to make sure it's all ready to handle it. And so all of that is already being worked on, explored. We've already gotten some grants, but we've applied for more. And like I said, to build water tanks and different things to upgrade what's there to get better water out there. Yeah. And that'll make a huge difference.
What other mechanisms can towns use to attract business like that?
I mean, there's incentives tax-wise.
Yeah.
But, again, to me, like the more we improve everything else that's already within our purview, like streetscapes and downtown areas and just infrastructure, the more attractive we are.
Yeah.
Because, one of the big things that I keep hearing about different grocery stores that have been talked to is, do we have the need? Does our population support it? And that's where I think, the town of Spruce Pine can improve the things, again, that are within our control that bring more people here, make it a better place to live.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about growing us into some big
metropolis or something.
I'm not looking for that.
Yeah.
That's, not what Spruce Pine is, but enough that it would support a grocery store. Yeah.
I would imagine too, in the absence of Ingalls, sure, because they made it. I mean, it worked for Ingalls, But I wonder if Ingalls were to come back and another grocery store, you'd probably be a little over what you could handle, So that's difficult things to work through. What else haven't we covered? What's something that you personally? I know there's something that we've not covered, but what's something that you have thought about personally? Something maybe that a lot of people don't think about.
Oh my gosh.
I know that's a tough question. Sorry. We ask tough questions here on the Hollercast.
Well, okay. So I I've been thinking on this for a while because it's taken me a while to get my graphic together. My son Isaac is a junior at Chapel Hill. He's looking at going into advertising, and so he helped me tremendously. But just sort of had this vision that, sort of it goes along with what we've already talked about, but just sort of changing the attitude in town, like to have more pride in our hometown, to focus more on what's good about it, and also like not shutting down the people that want change, being open to that, and just sort of creating a better environment for people to express their ideas, and also recognize that not everything is bad, and so it just came to my mind this summer, for the love of spruce pine. So that's my little slogan.
Nice.
And just want to get, it's just a thing to help people get on board.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's momentum. We're changing. Things are happening. And it's not to fundamentally change the character of the place that we love.
Yeah.
It's to like be proud of it and recognize that nothing is ever perfect. So we always need to be looking for ways to improve, and let's focus on that.
And I know that, the term diversity is thrown around nowadays, especially in a lot of terms. And I think for a segment of people, mostly probably on the right side of the spectrum, that is sort of almost has a negative connotation. But I'm speaking without those connotations. We have a diverse community. Like, it's kind of remarkable, honestly.
It is.
I think about Penland, the attraction that has to artists here. So you have a large artist community. You have a large, grew up here, from here, family values crowd. And then you have, people that have moved here from off because, things like the mining industry, that attracts an international, people
Certainly.
internationally here. And I think all of those, and there's more, I could mention 100 more, but my point being that I think spruce pine needs to embrace its diversity while also like embracing also its heritage and what it's been. And for those that, would probably be more adverse to change, in anything, I think there's ways to placate that crowd, and undo something that should be done, things like, just keeping in mind what spruce pine, hearkening back to what the history of this as a railroad town, as a river town. Our proximity to the parkway is always, a thing, and hopefully we'll see all that get reopened back. All of it's opened back up quicker than I think was planned originally, so that's good.
I think there's common ground. I think that's what the storm, I think, did too. Is it gave us a reason to all have to be like, oh, well, we all just went through this terrible tragedy together, and we all recovered together. And I think that's largely what you're seeing. Well, and we all chose to be here one way or the other. Yeah. We all chose to stay. So let's all come together on what we can to make it better.
100%. Well, Beth, I wish you the absolute best. Good luck in the election. I know you're running unopposed, but people need to get out and vote.
Please do.
I'm very excited that you, and I've known you for quite a while, but I'm very excited that you're going to be the one, kind of the face of this town, and I think you're going to do a phenomenal job. I think you're well-spoken, you're smart. I think you're qualified for the job, probably unlike any mayoral candidate, and I love Philip and all those guys, and they have their own qualifications. But just you, the unique skill set that you bring to the job, I think will be invaluable, and people need to get out and vote and show their support for you and for the love of spruce pine, right? For the love of spruce pine. Thank you so much, Chase, for doing this and getting the word out. Awesome. We'll see you next time. All right. We'll do it again. All right.